That's us, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is our number if you want to call and sound off. Let's go up to Seth Greenberg of ESPN. My good friend Seth, Zach Gelb, Haley Condon, and John Henry here with you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for you guys for talking to me. I figured one would be enough.
Yeah, I know. I'm always such a problem, though, when we do call you and try to get you on the show.
You are high maintenance. There is no doubt about it.
Well, there was some big news here yesterday at Temple University. The AD, Bill Bradshaw, he's going to retire on June 30th. He takes his leave of absence coming up this Friday, tomorrow. What's your reaction to Bill Bradshaw stepping down as AD?
Kind of shocking. I hope he's in good health. I've always been impressed by the job that Bill's done. I think he's done a great job for Temple. Think about the progress their football program's made. Think about the hiring of Fran Dunphy. The success that they've had on and off the field. So a little bit of a shock and probably a hard guy to replace. And when I say that, it's because, when I think of Temple and I think of Philadelphia and Temple are not for everyone. You've got to have the right fit, the right guy, and I'm sure that they'll find another athletic director, but he'll be a tough guy to replace.
As the search continues, as they try to find their next AD, they have two pretty good head coaches in place at their two major sports. Matt Rule, head coach of the football team, and as you know, your friend Fran Dunphy, or as you like to call him, Dr. Dunphy, is the man in charge of the basketball program. How important is that Temple already has a good foundation in place for the next AD?
Well, it's huge because that athletic director now, he's going to manage his department. The most important thing to me, and I understand football has improved and is good, but, when I think about Temple, I think about Temple basketball. I think about Harry Little, I think John Chaney and Dunph, and I think about success. So I think that it's, having those two coaches in place, and the progress they've made in football and the energy that's been created, the league affiliation now being solidified, I think that the job's a better job now than it was 5 years ago.
Seth Greenberg joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. And Seth, let's do some NBA stuff now, as you now work for ESPN. Jason Collins is the big story so far of the NBA this week. Reactions to Jason Collins coming out?
I thought he was eloquent and carried himself in a way that will probably change a lot of people's lives. And, I think the thing that came across to me is that he would be a great teammate. And just to think about when he waited to make his announcement because he was more concerned with the team than himself at the point. When you listen to the reaction from the NBA community being so positive, I think that will help the next athlete, whether it's a basketball player or, a high school kid who has, similar beliefs and feelings. You can't help but be impressed with the way Sports Illustrated handled it and the way Jason Collins handled it.
I saw some interview that he was doing, and the word that I thought of when he was speaking to this one reporter was just courage. And you're right, he absolutely was courageous. You could tell he was a benevolent person, how he tried to put the team before his personal situation. But if you were a head coach in that locker room, how would you handle this situation? Do you see a team possibly going out there and picking up Jason Collins? Because he brings a lot to a team from a veteran standpoint.
Yeah, I do. I think in the culture and the society that we live in today, I think that, one thing about the NBA you've got to understand, and just in terms of professionally, practice is practice, the games are the games, and then everyone goes on their own direction. And as long as a player, is a good fit and can help the team win, I think that's really the only thing that counts. It's kind of like the Matt Mateo situation in a lot of ways, and that, people saying, wondering about, what was going to happen to his draft status. I remember listening to Teddy Bruschi say, look, if teams think he can help them win, then they're going to draft him. And that's just the way it is. Jason Collins is obviously a high character, bright guy, good teammate, plays hard, not a distraction on, accepts his role. And I think that's the only thing that's going to really, become a factor.
Seth Greenberg joins us, Zach Gelb, Haley Condon, and John Henry here with you, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. And Seth, now let's get to this Knicks and Celtics series. It's been a thrilling one to watch. And you see the Knicks right now. This was a team that came in last night pompous. They had the whole funeral and all the black clothes things ready to go. If you were Mike Woodson, if you were in that locker room, what would your message be to this team? Because now there's a whole lot of pressure as you force a Game 6.
I'm not sure I would allow them to go so far with the whole black suit funeral thing, because it shows such a lack of respect and immaturity for a team that had a great season. For professional athletes, the one thing is to have an edge. The other thing is to almost be disrespectful. I thought Charles Barkley, put it best. You haven't done anything. You're supposed to win the first round, and you haven't won it yet. You're supposed to advance. Carry yourself like you've been there before. I remember when I was the head coach in South Florida, Leroy Selman was my athletic director, and we're watching Warren Sapp, and he gets a sack, and I'm sitting in the box with Leroy, and Warren Sapp's doing his dance, and Leroy's shaking his head, and I said, Mr. Selman, I said, why are you shaking your head? He said, he's getting paid to do that. Why does he do it? Why does he have to dance? And the thing is, if you're a good team, you're supposed to be the Celtics without Rajon Rondo. And enough of the BS. Go and do the right thing, and play the game the right way. Compete. Stop running an isolation that's easy to defend. Get back on defense. Be more concerned about your transition defense than having a funeral proceeding.
What's it going to take to get J.R. Smith going? Because he's been a big distraction in this series. He got suspended. His antics are just being a little bit too much, and he's not producing on the court.
Yeah, I think Boston's a good defensive team. J.R. Smith is a room and rhythm guy. A guy that needs to get shots in transition. He's a guy that needs to make that first shot. It seems. I think that he's got to try to find a way to get some easy baskets. He takes and makes hard shots. I said this last week when he was making crazy shots, and I got attacked on Twitter saying, "Oh, you're a hater." No, I'm not a hater. I like guys that make good shots, take and make good shots, rather than take and make bad shots, because that becomes like a drug and an addiction. One bad shot usually leads to the next, not just your own, but maybe your teammates, and it just doesn't work.
I was watching the game last night, and KG and Pierce were just sensational in that game. You saw Kevin Garnett. I think he had 18 rebounds. It's just remarkable to me to see these guys at an old age still producing on the court and forcing that Game 6 as it goes back to Boston.
They're pros. That's just the way to describe it. They're pros. Those guys are pros. Paul Pierce plays the game so easily, so gracefully. That pass he made, the look-away pass on a hard cut. They got shot makers. Jason Terry. How about say, I've got exact quote, but someone said, who's Jason Terry? The guy's been in the league 12 years. Give me a break. That guy's won more playoff games than maybe the Knicks combined. So disrespectful probably is a word, and I'm sure if I'm Mike Woodson, I'm saying, you know what? Enough of the talk. Let's get out. We've got to get this done on the court. We've got to be solid defensively. Name me a really good NBA team, a championship caliber team that didn't defend. And right now they're not defending. When the Knicks defend, they're pretty good because then they get out transition and get some room and rhythm and open scoring opportunities.
A few more questions with Seth Greenberg as he joins us. And Seth, let's get to this Nets-Chicago series. The Bulls, they've been incredible all season long without Derrick Rose. They weren't the favorite in this series, but they go up 3-1. Then the Nets come out with the dominating Game 5 performance. You have Game 6 tonight. How do you see this one going? Do the Nets force a Game 7?
Yeah, I think they do. Like I told you, I don't think they choked the other night. You got to go. These guys are trying to win. These are professionals. These guys are investing in competing and winning and playing hard. They got a great start that other night and ended up getting beat. But I do think the Nets are a team that they're pretty solid defensively. When they're making shots, when Williams is getting in the lane and making plays, they're a good basketball team, and I do think they force a Game 7.
And you see this Nets team, when they win games, they get a lot of scoring from different avenues. When they won Game 1, they had 6 players with 10-plus points in that game. And this Nets team, the 2 X factors in this series to me for the Nets, and it's going to be interesting if Kirk Heinrich goes, but Gerald Wallace and Blatch, those 2 players, when they come to play in this series, that's when the Nets win.
Yeah, and I think Chicago's, if Heinrich doesn't play, I think that's a huge loss. He's such a good defender, they can't afford to lose bodies in the backcourt, basically. They're thin in the backcourt anyway, and what that does is it changes roles and puts a lot of pressure. Nate Robinson can go off and make plays and score, but he doesn't check anyone, and that's the problem.
We only got one more question here for Seth Greenberg as we have to let him go. But, Seth, out west, what do you like out of this conference? Who's the favorite out west? Do you think Oklahoma City continues to advance to the second round?
I think they are going to advance, but without Westbrook, even though I'm not a huge Westbrook fan, they miss his ability to defend, they miss his explosiveness, his ability to go get a shot. I think that's, they put so much pressure on Durant every single possession, especially at the end of the game. And, in the end, come on, you got to like the Spurs, you got to like the Heat. The Spurs are a joke. That's what it is. You imagine the Spurs players carrying themselves like the Knicks guys did last night?
No chance.
Not a chance. And that's just the way it is. And if you want to be, you want to be considered an elite team, if you want to be taken seriously, then you got to act professionally. And to me, I think that's the problem. You look at the Heat. The Heat wouldn't have to do it either. They go out and they compete. They play. They shut people. And I think Indiana's got a chance in the East. Though I do think Indiana's got a chance in the East because they got size up front.
Seth, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks so much. Let's do it again real soon.
Come on, the greatest station in Philly. Just Philadelphia, not just the whole East Coast. Come on, let's take on Syracuse. Come on now. We're not going back down to Syracuse radio, are we? What? Wow.
Well, here's one thing. We did beat Syracuse in the ratings, so there you go.
There you go. Well, I can understand that.
Seth, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, man.